the session as much as I could, and I think recording just started, so I'll probably go again so that we have a full. Okay. So, folks, yeah, my name is Akhil, and I'm the founder at Product Space, and we've been in touch, and we keep on conducting a lot of product-based workshops, and also in collaboration with IIT Guwahati as well. Um, yeah, the session that we're going to talk about today is like understanding users and UI UX. Folks, trust me, this is toughest part of a product management job. And if we are just learning about it probably in 1 hour session, trust me, it's just about probably we are touching the iceberg. And but I've tried to concise things in a way that you get a decent gist about what users are, how to do user segmentation, at least get a gist of it, what, why, even segmentation is important. And we're going to do a little bit of a case study if the time permit. We're going to use AI tool, wherein I'm going to help you understand how can you fast track your product building or designing process. And also there might be probably times coming in wherein we would not probably use now traditional tools like Figma for designing. We'd use a different tool wherein it'll be quite faster to kind of get started with designs, right? Guys, can we have please some cameras on so that it looks like we have some vibe in the session, and otherwise it looks like I'm just speaking to a bunch of tiles. So Shlok, if that's okay, can we have the cameras on from the audience?
We have disabled it,
Okay.
just for the internet sake. Yeah, we have enabled it. I guess people can turn on their cameras. Guys,
Okay.
please turn on your camera so that it's an interactive session.
Awesome. Let me start sharing my screen. This is going to be super interactive. So guys, I would request you folks to please be, responsive. I'll switch, kind of turn off my phones. All right. So, okay. Yeah, we're good to start. Okay, so folks, in today's session, we're going to kind of deep dive into what user segmentation is, why it is important to understand it, and we'll also try to understand why is there a need to segment users, and we might touch base upon why understanding your segment could be the key to build great products, and at least the products which would be accepted in the market, right? And the last point is something using which we're going to start from is going to start a session, which is like, why can't we solve for everyone, or why can't we solve everything, right? So I'm going to ask a couple of questions. You can probably respond in the chat with yes and no from your answers, and let's get started. My voice is lagging. All right, cool. Okay, so my first question is, can you find or book cabs on Amazon? Okay, largely no. Okay, interesting. Okay, my next question is, can you book flights on Zomato? I don't know if they've enabled it or not, but last I checked, it was a no. Okay. Okay. My last question to you is, can you pay your payment bills on Uber? No, right. So what I'm trying to tell you here is, one product cannot solve for everything. You might have seen that Paytm tried that and it is still trying it. Many of you might have seen the story of Paytm Mall, wherein it saw the valuation dip by 95%. Even look at the stories of Puneet, can you be on mute? Okay, sure. Thanks. Yeah. So look at the stories of Paytm Mall, wherein it definitely tried to solve the same use case as Flipkart and Myntra is doing, or Amazon is doing, and look at how they are, how well they're doing in the industry, and what happened to Paytm Mall. 95% dip in valuation is like almost shutting down the business, and that is something which has happened for Byju's as well. You would see that at one point the valuation was almost like what, 22 billion dollars. Now it's like thus no one is willing to invest in them. They are like in a lot of debt and all, right? See, every product is trying to solve around the core use case, right? This is how they are trying to position themselves in the market. For example, if we talk about Paytm, Paytm is largely positioned itself in the market for what payments. If you look into Netflix is positioned around OTT. Suddenly, what if Netflix starts the cab services, right? uh, People would not recognize. And in fact, let me ask the question to you. Whenever you have a need to invest, or whenever you think about investing, what is the product that comes to top of your mind? Or you can take an example of e-commerce as well, right? Whenever you have in mind that you want to buy something, which all products come to your mind? Right in the chat. I'll probably repeat my question. My question was like, when you, let's say, want to invest, right? Or whenever you think about investing something, or in some products or companies, right? Or which all products comes to top of your mind? And if investing is something you don't relate a lot with, you can take an example of e-commerce, right? Whenever you want to purchase something from the market, what all products comes to top of your mind? Okay, Godlu is mentioning what mobile phones, clock. Okay, good. So I think, see, what largely what you're trying to understand is like, whenever it is coming about investing, you're trying to associate yourself with products like Zarada, products like Grow, products like Upstocks, right? Guys, you guys are unmuting in between. I would request to please be on mute. Right. Why I am trying to give you these examples, so that you can understand there's a concept called TOMA, which is like top of the mind awareness, right? If you want to invest, I'm not sure many of you know that Paytm also has an option to kind of, allow you to start the investing. In fact, PhonePe also has it, right? But when do you use these products? You use it for their specific use case around, around the probably the problem statement that they're solving, which is largely around the payment specific, situations. In fact, take an example of Hike Messenger. What happened to it? It tried to solve too many things, but couldn't, let's say, position itself in the market, and then almost die down, right? So if you are trying to solve too many problems, and which your users are not able to associate your probably your with your product, then it becomes very difficult for your products to grow and your users to kind of use your product. In case of Paytm, let's say, if they want to drive um, activation, or if they want to drive investing on their platform, they might have to give a lot of cashbacks and all. But the moment your motivations in terms of money goes in, the users again go back to like the products using which probably like Zarada, probably like Grow, right? So it is very important that whenever we are trying to build something, we need to understand whether it will dilute our positioning or not, whether when we are solving something, would users accept our products or not, right? So that is something which is very, very important. Now let me ask you another set of questions. So can a blind user draw cash from a normal ATM that we draw from? Right? Yes or no in the chat. I can say that there would be mixed answers for sure. Okay, I'll take this. Let me ask you another question. In this question only, okay, let's say there's a blind user who has walked into a ATM, and they have drawn the cash, and there was a another person standing beside them, and the moment they have drawn the cash, the other person snatched it and ran away. Do you think that would be an ideal situation for a blind user to draw the cash from normal ATMs that we use on a regular basis? Ideally, no, right? So it's not just about whether you can fulfill your use cases in worst of the circumstances. When a user look for any product, any services, they want the products to give the best experience, right? So let me ask another question to you. Can a 3-year-old play PUBG? Of course, in kids segment, they would have a need to entertain themselves, right? But would parents allow the kids to play PUBG? No, right. Probably, yeah. If the kids have a need to play PUBG, sorry, get entertain themselves, they would probably go in the park, or play some kid-specific games, right? Now, let me ask you the final question. Can physically disabled drive two-wheeler? Normal two-wheeler, I would say, which is not kind of designed specifically for them, right? So folks, what I am trying to explain you here is across the segments, the need or requirements can be there, but you cannot solve for the need of all the users using the same product, right? Some segments can have totally different requirements. For example, like Uber's not designed for kids, right? WhatsApp is also not designed for all the users. Do you think WhatsApp is designed for all the users? it's a mass product, but do you think WhatsApp is designed for all the users? It's not designed for, let's say, the folks who are not able to read, properly. It's not designed for the folks who are blind, right? Of course you can use those functionalities wherein you would be able to kind of use it with the help of some users and all, but why would you put so much effort in fulfilling that same use case if you have a better product to meet your requirements, right? So all the products which we see right now in the market that we use on a regular basis, they're positioned around a specific segment, right? The moment you try to wider your segments, you have to look for those specific requirements that those segments have, right? That is why this slide I'm summarizing on the note that it's not about, if you think about Amazon, Zomato, Uber, do you think they would not have capability to build these features or ecosystem? They would have that, right? It's about whether you should solve it or not, right? So at a product level, you can't solve for everything, because the moment you try to do go for it, either you would end up diluting your core use case, or your users would not be able to associate for that use case with the offerings that you have, right? And the other summary is like, no product in the world solves the needs of all the users, be it a mass product itself. There will be some mass segments who would have, let's say, recurring similar needs, but it would not be solving the needs and requirements for all the users, right? Now I want to take a pause, and if anyone has any questions, you can also ask me. You can raise hand if you have a question, or you can write your questions in the chat. WeChat, uh, we can't take example of Chinese ecosystem. That's something which is like government led and all, right? So there are different regulations, different push by the government companies or government, I would say, departments in terms of driving the usage of those products, right? But if you're talking about the open economies, when the users have a lot of choices, why would, as a user, you would go and use a product whose recall is not that much, right? TOMA is something which is known as top of the mind awareness, right? So you only had said that if you want to buy online, you would have the recall of Flipkart, Amazon. You would not have the recall of Paytm Mall or any, or I would say random D2C products as well, right? So it's all about the kind of that top of the mind recall awareness, whether the users would come to your product or not, or how much money you would invest in the users to bring them to your platform, right? Okay. All right. Ronak will cover the summary, and then anyone has any questions, or we can move ahead. Any questions from anyone? All right, no questions. Looks like we're good. Awesome. Now, since that is a core kind of concept that we have understood, now let me ask you guys, where in your daily lives you've seen the segmentation? Segmentation simply means like you're trying to create different cohorts based on specific characteristics, right? Where in your daily life you've observed, okay, there are segmentations, there are characteristics. Probably in this session you can see that I might be on spotlight, but you're not. So that's also one way of segmentation. Probably I'm instructing and you're learning, right? So where in your regular life like you have seen the segmentation? Let me just understand like how well you see or how well you observe. Okay, we have it on roads. That's quite interesting. Markets. Okay, demographic. In fact, you would have also seen it like on trains, like, there's this sleeper class, there's a, AC1, AC2. Yeah. Toll plaza. Yeah, you guys have got the gist, right? See, I have a couple of examples. You would have seen that in your colleges, there is segmentation on the basis of branch. Why that segmentation is there? Because your end goal is what? Your end goal is to get placed, right? And who will come to hire you? The companies would come to hire you, and companies would hire for a specific expertise. And those expertise are then delivered with the help of tailored learnings, which is something you're getting by becoming part of the specific branches, right? So in colleges we see the segmentation, in our countries we see the segmentation so that the administration can function really well. We see the segmentation in the libraries. You'll see that a lot of books are segmented either on the basis of subjects or alphabetical order. Why that is done? So that accessibility can be achieved, as in whoever is coming in the libraries, they can look for the content what they're looking for, what they want to read on, right? Let me give you a situation wherein, let's say you have exam a day after, and in the library there's like pile of books, right? And someone just told you there's one book in the session which would have all the answers, right? So if it's just like a dump of books in one place, you would not go ahead and find it. You might give an attempt, but there are very less chances, like 1 out of all the books that are there, probability, and you might not go for it. On the other hand, if the books are well stacked, it's very much easier for you to find out, right? So in the libraries, we see the segmentation. In the companies, there is segmentation on the base of departments, like there's product management department, there's marketing, there is operations, finance, there's different type of departments, so that the companies can function properly, even in supermarkets, right? So this is something which is established. We see segmentations all across, right? And if we are doing the segmentation, the role is very well defined, or we can also understand the requirements of that segment really well, and then try to cater it, right? Now with that, let me summarize it. User segmentation is a way to segment their users in various groups or cohorts which have one or more similar characteristics related to the offerings of the product, right? Now let me pick two case studies here so that you understand the importance of segmentation and how product companies apply it. And I'm also going to share you a case study of the decade, right, which I'm sure everyone knows it, but just to recall your understanding on that. But before that, let's take an example of users of Make My Trip, right? So Make My Trip largely have two type of segments. One is like a wealthy segment, like who's a business owner and who might be, let's say, earning in crores in a year, right? There's the On the other hand, there would be another segment like who's price conscious, might be earning 10 lakh, 12 lakh, 13 lakh, per annum, right? Now the question to you is, do you think Make My Trip should treat both of these users in the same way? Do you think Make My Trip should treat these users in the same way? No, right? And why no? Because the lifetime value of business user is way more than lifetime value of student. In simple words, what the lifetime value right now in this context means that how much business Make My Trip can get from a specific segment, right? Students might be booking, let's say, I would say cheapest options available, right? But the business owner might be going for luxurious options. In fact, how Make My Trip has kind of taken the leverage of like understanding their segments well. So if you are someone who's booking like the kind of luxury services that they have to offer, you'd see that you'd get dedicated support, right? You would have like the person on the call whenever like you have any queries, right? On the other hand, if there's a, let's say, a price conscious customer, they might put you, let's say, in the flow of ticketing. Hey, if you have a queries, raise the ticket, someone within 24 hours would revert to it, right? So that's from a product perspective, a company is trying to handle these two users in a different way, right? Because business user would want, I would say, a super premium treatment because they're investing that much, right? And also Make My Trip as a platform would also want to give them those, I would say, exclusive experiences so that they stick on that platform for longer, right? So this is the one application that we see, like, that we could see in terms of understanding the user segment and then applying it as well, right? Now let me ask you guys one very simple case study which I'm sure everyone would have at least heard about. That Flipkart, I think, came around 2012, and does anyone know why Flipkart has become the sensation in e-commerce, and what was the critical lever for its success? Anyone wants to share their understanding on it, you can type in the chat, or you can also raise hand and we can have a quick short discussion on that. Big billion sales? No, big no. That is like the way to right now drive the I would say growth, right? Or let's say stock out all the inventories that they were not able to sell out during the year at fast discounts. Fast delivery, return on policy. Hey Webo, you want to go ahead? I think Webo, you're not able to. Let me see if I can unmute it. Yeah, Webo, you can speak now. You can unmute and speak. Reaching to rural areas where Amazon was not available? No, that's more of a market expansion, not the critical lever for their growth. Okay, I'll tell you. I think a couple of you have already mentioned it in the chat. I think this is cash on delivery, right? See, when Flipkart thought of, let's say, building on the similar idea, Amazon was already there, right? And there were, I think, various challenges Amazon as an ecosystem was facing in that market. What led to the, I would say, the massive success of Flipkart is understanding of the users. Why it led to how they've understood their users well. See, at that time in 2020, I would say 2012, uh, if you look at the entire demography of India, right, there were a couple of challenges the entire demography was facing, even if it be it like a tier 1 city or tier 2 city or remote areas, right? First of it was like low debit card and credit card penetration, right? Uh, Earlier Amazon was working on like, you pay first and then we will order you, right? So what if, like, a lot of users that could become your potential customers, they might not have that debit card and credit card facility, which is something which might lead to, let's say, less adoption in many areas, right? Second problem statement or the challenge that entire geography was facing, which was trust deficit in online shopping. Plus there were a lot of scams was also running and on that around that area, right? Which means that what if you paid something to the market, would they end up kind of giving you product, right? What is the guarantee for that? Because Flipkart was just a startup, right? And third is like the cultural preference for cash, right? So Flipkart understood these levers really well, and that is where they've launched a cash on delivery, which gave the confidence to the users that I would have to pay only if I would probably get the product, right? I don't have to pay in advance, because what if I pay in advance? What if I get a bad product? What if I get a damaged product? What if I don't get a product? What if I have some issues, no one is kind of responding, right? So kind of launching cash on delivery was game changing for them, and in fact that is still one of the critical factors which is like leading the growth across the remote areas, because some of these challenges still exist in, I would say, remotest of the areas like tier 3 or remote ecosystems, right? So that is where understanding the users or in which market you're going into is very, very critical, right? So folks, I would like to take a pause here, and I would invite if anyone has any questions on something that we have just talked about, and then we'll do a quick case on as in how can you do a user segmentation using a framework, and then we'll touch base upon user interface and user experience, and then we'll do a one AI case study in terms of creating your AI product, or I would say user interface for a feature that you would want to design. Any questions from anyone? Hey, look, this audience doesn't have any questions, or I'm explaining it too well, or no one is understanding.
Uh, I mean, I'm not sure about that, but I do have a question.
Yeah, please go ahead.
So I wanted to ask about the same Flipkart example. The so basically Flipkart introduced COD, which led to quite some talks about Flipkart. But then I guess Amazon copied it very fast and implemented it also very at an early stage. So
Not sure about
uh,
it. Check
mhm,
for the timeline slow.
acha. But
Even if
then like mhm.
yeah, finish your question. Yeah.
So my question is like even after this, why does Flipkart has a low market share than Amazon today? That's my question.
See, market share is a component of how big your portfolio is, right? And what is the average ticket size of the kind of the categories that you would have, right? You would see that Amazon has very well positioned themselves as, I would say, trusted sellers for FMCD, which is like high ticket size items like fridges, washing machines, TVs, and all. You'll see that the purchases that the users are driving mostly from Amazon are largely coming from that category, right? So market cap, kind of capitalization, like as a function of different elements, and for some reason Flipkart is yet to solve that problem, right? To answer your question, the first one, which was about like Amazon also copied it. See, if you look into that market of 2012, that market was also not that matured at that time, right? Even if Amazon was there in India, they had good presence, right? But there was, I think, a lot of scope in the entire ecosystem for two or what five players to compete. That is why you will see that okay, Jabang was also there, then came in like in 2013 or 14, 15. Snapdeal is also doing really well, right? So the market was not matured. Market was kind of these players have become then the category creators, right? all this new way of shopping was completely, I would say new experience for the entire market, right? So it was then the game of whoever could get to the users fast, or whoever could convince the users that, hey, we have the largest catalog, or we have what you're looking for, or we are, let's say, giving you a better experience, right? Hope that answers the question, Slow. Market, like, the market capitalization is like, it's all about like how wide catalog you have, like, and also about what is the ticket size of your most selling items, and how you are positioning yourself in the market. What I have read, what my understanding says, that Amazon has like decent trust of users in terms of buying and purchasing high ticket size items. On the other hand, Flipkart wasn't, I would say, too success on that front. And that is like, could be one of the reasons. If you'll see that Amazon would not have that great volumes in sales in fashion, that is something which is tilted more around Flipkart and fashion, right? So it's all about, as a business, what strategy you playing out, and do you want to kind of capture masses, do you want to capture value, right? So it depends on the strategy, right? But I think both of these players are quite prominent. Okay, I think Vaibhav said Flipkart has market. So yeah, I think that's a different debate about market share. But hope you understood, right? It's all about, of course, how do you execute your strategy, right? It just doesn't become about one feature that you've launched, cash on delivery. That something has become game changer, because that was addressing of that specific era's users challenges, and that is something has resulted into the acceptance in that market. Yeah, Americans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Americans, that is, I guess, uh, Flipkart's an Indian brand. I got
Yeah,
it.
yeah. So that's
Hmm.
a different argument, right? I hope
Yeah,
that
yeah.
made sense. Okay.
Yeah, I answered my question.
All right. Now, let me quickly move to. Okay, did Flipkart copy? It doesn't matter. Like, competitors keep copying on the features which is working, and that is like the, I would say, global practice, right? If you are someone who's doing it faster or earlier, then you would have a first mover advantage. But if it's something which is working for you, probably a lot of these features would not have defensibility, right? The other folks can also kind of copy it. Uh, Defensibility markets are largely payment and lending, because that is where you would need like RBI approvals and all, right? So in those ecosystems, you would not see too many players versus the industries where the entry barrier is less, right? Okay, so these are different arguments, but really appreciating like the amount of question that is coming. Okay, is there any leading brand, and is there a space for new delivery brand in the market? See, this has become a red ocean now, right? Until unless you come with, let's say, groundbreaking USP, which like entire market is struggling with, you can still make a space, right? But this online selling, online e-commerce has become a cluttered market. A lot of players has come in, right? And all of them has like deep inroads into the remotest areas of the country, right? And how that is also being powered with the help of, or with the expansion of, the companies like Delivery or DTDC, right? Because they've also expanded their kind of delivery network as well, right? So yeah, you can still get into it if you have like Japanese uncle's investment. If someone is putting a lot of money into your growth, and if your idea is really awesome, then definitely, or your product has like unique differentiation, you could see the growth of, you can read about the growth story of, about Snitch, right? Snitch is really doing well, even though in this competitive market, right? So if you come up with a unique value proposition, there are good chances that you can still grow, right? Awesome. Now let me do a quick exercise before I go ahead and talk about UI UX, right? We have a little bit of time. Okay, so guys, you have two options. You have two users. One user is like has done a purchase of 10,000 rupees, and another user has done a purchase of 8,000 rupees. Out of these two users, which customers you value more? And you have only this information to act on. Write in the chat. Snapdeal has become more of a seller's market. They try to focus a lot on sellers. They couldn't, evolve their product offerings in terms of the growing demands of the, Gen Zs or the customers, right? There's also an interesting case study about I think Snapdeal and Flipkart, wherein Flipkart also offered to buy them, but now no one, now recognize or even have any kind of recall for the products of Snapdeal or their offerings. Okay, folks, coming back to the slide. Okay, I go for 10,000 customer, both available. No, if you have to make a choice, then looks like largely the audience is going towards one. Now you have this much, you have like this additional information, which is, um, you have a user who has done a purchase of like the 10,000 one has done like one single order, and that too in like 3 years. And then you have another user who has done a purchase of like 8,000 rupees, and then but this user has made these purchases like in last year, and also in multiple orders, right? Which also suggests that this user has been coming on the platform quite frequently, right? Now you have this much information. With this information, now which customer you would value more? Ronak is saying 8K now. Okay, interesting. Interesting. 8K help to maintain cash flow. Yeah, of course, valuable. So, folks, with this information, I'm trying to introduce you one framework which is called recency frequency monitoring. So, in the products like wherein you have transactions happening, like e-commerce products or investment products or payment products, right? Wherever you have the transaction data, you can use this framework, and this framework is readily available on tools like CleverTap, Mixpanel, right? So, if you have the purchase behavior data of these users, then you can categorize your users into 10 categories, right? And these categories would look like champions, loyal customers, and if you can look into the y-axis, there's a frequency score, which means like how frequently they've visited your platform. X-axis is about like recency score, which means like probably how recently they visited your platform, right? And Z-axis is about the monetary value, right? So if you look into this framework, it just looks into your data and then creates those 10 segments. How this helps the product managers or the growth team is, let's say you're looking into this segment, right? This is about to sleep segment, which means like they have not purchased very recently, but and whenever they have purchased, the frequency of purchase was not that much, right? Now you want these users to become active. So what you can do is like you can probably select this specific segment and you can run exclusive campaigns. Hey, get additional 10% off, right? Or I have some exclusive 500 rupees off, or I have some exclusive, let's say, products only for you, right? So this is how, like, at a product level, these information is going to be helpful. Probably for loyal customers and champions, you might not worry too much. Probably for these users, you can try sending them communication about your newest offerings, because these customers are already loyal customers of your platform, and whenever there's a requirement of a specific use case, they're always going to come on your product, right? And since they trust your product so much, whenever you're introducing something new, they could be your early adopters as well, right? So once you have an audience bifurcation, you can plan your product growth strategy really well, or you can plan for your product adoption, retention, engagement of across those growth levers, right? So this is a very critical segment which helps like a lot of e-commerce teams to create these segmentation and then make sense out of it, right? So this is like one of the framework learning. And apart from this, there's not specific frameworks around user segmentation which kind of looks into the data, but there are totally different ways of doing segmentation as well. For example, on Make My Trip, you might do the segmentation on the basis of, let's say, how much users are earning, right? Because depending on how much they are earning, how much they are going to use your platform would vary, right? So probably someone who's earning a lot, you might keep them, kind of engaged on your platforms in terms of sending luxury offerings and all, right? So user segmentation, understanding of the users is very critical for any products to grow and continuously kind of staying relevant in this market, right? So folks, this was kind of a short session on user understanding. Now I will shift to cover a little bit of a user interface and user experience, right? So yeah, we can go to that, and I will go to this, and I can take questions if there are any questions. I can take quickly one question. So Ravi, you can write a question in the chat. Looks like mic is disabled. Okay, I'm waiting Ravi to type in the chat. Okay, looks like Ravi has raised hand. Okay, Ravi, I think you can speak as well. You've been allowed to speak. All right, I think we should move in the interest of time. Okay, folks. So we're going to understand, what UI is and what UX is, right? So UI is simply user interface, right? So what UI basically consists of, and see, whenever you use multiple products, right? All those screens that you see on any product or on any digital ecosystem, right? Those are the screens which are known as user interface, right? User interface largely covers like buttons, forms, menus, colors, like all these things, roughly comes under user interface, right? So user interface, if you have to just summarize in one line, it's all about what users see, right? User experience is all about what users experience from the interface that you have designed, right? Now let's take an example of this design, right? So every time I go to my net banking, right, I literally catch my head because every time I have to make sense of, okay, where this specific feature is, where I could probably raise a query or where I could get the statements, right? So that screen is, of course, user interface is there, but user experience is not there, right? Why? Because it's not there, because probably their product managers are not prioritizing it. In this design that you could see, that this is also a good example of user interface, but it might not be one of the best example of user experience, right? So as a product manager, you have to ensure whatever the interface your design team is creating, it is giving a frictionless experience to the users so that they are able to complete the goals for which they have come to your product, right? For example, on Swiggy, users are coming to probably order food. For example, let's say if we're talking about Swiggy food, right? Let's imagine there's a homepage right now. Everything is well structured. Like there's a search icon, and there are like different recommendation, and I would say in the bottom navigation you'll see multiple features, right? Just imagine one feature is here, one feature is there, search bar is in somewhere in the middle, right? Recommendation is probably popping from the top, right? User enter, it will still be called a user interface, but it would not give a good user experience, right? Just because it will not give a good user experience, users would drop off. They would not be feeling comfortable, or it would require a lot of effort from their end to make sense of what probably you are trying to offer. Because if everything is cluttered, it'll still be UI, but the users would still struggle to find and look for what they are looking for or what they want to order from your platform, right? So as a product manager, you have to own the entire user experience journey, and you have to work very closely with designers to ensure that you are offering the frictionless user experience. Now what we're going to do, we have like almost another 15 minutes. I would want you guys to talk about any specific feature that you would want me to design the UI of it, and we're going to take a help of AI products to design it, and then we're going to look into the one of the AI design tool. How can you create probably UI designs in minutes or in seconds as well, like depending on how complex. So which feature you want me to kind of pick? You can write any feature that you have in mind in the chat. Okay, I think I'm looking into the questions of Tej. Tej is saying that if you want to maintain constantly sales, more prioritize to 8,000. I would still not prioritize to 8,000, Tej, because that, okay, I would go ahead for 8,000. Yeah, I would not prioritize for 10,000 because that user came back almost 3 years back, right? And the natural frequency of usage of my product is like at least once a month minimum, right? So that user either doesn't have a requirement or have shifted completely to the new ecosystems, right? So until unless like we definitely want to get those users, it would require a lot of motivation, probably a lot of offers, a lot of I would say yeah, good coupons, right, for them to come back and again try your platform. So first try to understand as a you as a product manager, what is the challenge that they've faced on your product because of which they're not coming again on your platform. Once you've understood that, then accordingly you can make a strategy to tackle that specific problem statement, because every time just running an offer might not make sense. What if a user has ordered something, has and you promised the order to probably reach in 1 day, it reached in 1 month, right? So bad experience. If users are having that kind of experience, they might not come back on your product probably again, as long as they get better alternative, right? Okay, so bank opening page, what is this, Puneet? You have to probably describe it a little bit more. I would go to home screen and okay, folks, think about it. I'm parallelly setting up my board. All right. Okay. Same page on how you improve it to cater modern usage. Okay. All right. All right. Okay. So you want to create a design of banking lending page, something like that? A search bar at the top of, just give me the name of the feature. You don't have to describe it. Probably, food ordering or payment flows or let's say post order experience of e-commerce. Okay, let's go for like post order experience of e-commerce. Okay, so first what I'll do is see, I'll quickly explain you like how product managers work end to end. So once you have decided that, okay, this is a problem statement that we want to solve upon, then what you do is like you create the detailed requirement of it. Once the requirements are created, and okay, Tejasvi will take your problem statement. Looks quite interesting. Okay, so once we have taken that requirement and detailed it out in the form of product requirement document, then we hand it over to the designers, and then designer go ahead and create the different layouts depending on how you have created the user flow. Right now, we don't have time right now to kind of create like detailed requirement and all. So I'm going to take the help of from, let's say, GPT. Let's take help from, or I can go to Claude as well. Let me start this. Let me start with, all right. Okay, probably from this account, I'm using Claude first time. Stay on the free plan. All right. This is a alternative to ChatGPT if you want to use it. It's good in, okay. It's taking so much time. Okay, now I should be on the interface. Okay. Now let me create, give me the concise PRD to create post order experience flow for e-commerce app. Okay, let's take this. Order processing, fulfillment updates, in transit. Yeah, this is good enough. Delivery key features, I'll add it here. I'll copy from here. Okay, see, as a product manager, even if you're using probably GPT or LLMs to get your work done, right now I'm probably taking the information from here and probably going to the design tool. You don't have to do that. You have to look into the final requirements and probably keep iterating with it until you're confident, okay, this is the right problem we want to solve, right? So I'm going to reshare my screen and I'm going to take that requirement to a, so this is a tool called Visly, right? It is kind of an emerging AI design tool, right? So what it does, like it helps us in generating kind of designs using AI. So this probably, no need for us to, let's say, spend hours and hours on Figma and create each and specific components. It'll at least give you one layout so that you can start working on it and you can start like, generating a different type of design. So what I've done is like, this is the landing page and I have clicked on this specific feature, which was start with AI. So I want to go from text to design, not text to diagram, screenshot to design. So these are like features it has. So let's say what you want to create. Let's create a mobile app, right? And let's say, and I will define these requirements. Just pumped and up. There are good chances that it might not still give me those, I would say, that much refined input, but I would still, yeah, it has given these many screens. I will consume like 150 credits, but let's go for it. Okay, screens are being generated. Let's set up your theme in the meantime. Okay, I'll say that. Okay, pick the theme from the leading e-commerce players. Let's wait for it to act on. Yeah, it takes time because it takes information, processes it through LLM, and yeah, here we are on the screen. So it is now generating all the screens for us. See, in Figma, what we had to do it like we have to create this screen, we have to then create a component, we have to keep in mind, okay, what the design should be, right? AI would do the most part of it. Right? There's another tool that we have like looked into. I'll quickly show it to you. So this is another tool that we use in product space. So this tool is known as ready.ai. So there are like, I'll talk about the PM fellowship very short. So we kind of help everyone do PMing with the help of AI, and all our cohort members are able to build products as well. I'll also showcase that to you as well. So yeah, I think my internet is running a little slow. Yeah, look into this. I think it's still generating, so let it generate. I think I'll just probably ask it to reload. Uh-huh. Let me pick any page. Student top, student portfolio. Okay. So I have, let's say, created this created job page, right? So you look into, so I have just created this version on it. It has given me, something like this. And I've also created like another design on this because see, whenever as a product manager, you want to work with a designer, you can also take references from here and give it to designers, so that probably their time to design completion also reduces heavily, right? So yeah, it's showcasing, I think designs are also already there, but it's taking time to load. But I will show you this, which we have created. Okay, we were creating a referral landing page, so it created this in like seconds. So look at this, our screens are generated. We can also open board to kind of make the edits to these designs. See, this is the order confirmation screen, right? So if as a product manager, if I have to follow a specific, let's say, brand guidelines or brand colors as well, so we can also give it, right? So this is like a order processing flow. So you can see that, okay, this is like order successfully placed, order is processing, right? And then probably packed, in transit, delivered, right? So you can see that it has beautifully created your wireframes like in seconds. So you don't have to, again, I would repeat myself, spend time. What you can do is like, let's say, I my requirement was like very much, I would say, completely taken from GPT generated system. When you're solving a specific customer problem, what you can simply do is you can just look into those requirements and look at probably in much more detail, so that they are solving the problem statements or they are building the features as you've expected, right? Or you have to ensure that whatever is finally building, it is able to solve the problem statement for which you are on to designing these screens, right? So see, you have your final UI ready, right? User experience could be, hey, this is something not looking good, right? This is something users might not like, so you might probably want to keep it less cluttered. You want to keep it probably white in the background and all, right? So you would want to, and you can also say that, okay, this red color is looking probably not too well. Red is generally, it's not of course full red, but can we probably play around the color so that users don't take it as a warning signal and all. So you can have like those kind of iterations to ensure that overall user experience is like up to the mark, right? So as I said, folks, there are so many things in user understanding and product management that definitely we can't cover in 1 hour session. I had to like concise so many things to wrap up and show you this demo. I'll quickly show you one of the portfolio of our cohort member as well. Give me 1 second. So I'll tell you what we are helping our cohort members build as well. So you are quite confident about that. So folks, we have like our fellowship program, which is like starting from 5th of July for IIT Guwahati students. We have like special discount offer. So the pricing that you would see on the website might not be for you. So I'm sharing the link in the chat, and folks, whoever has questions, you can raise hand. I'll quickly show you the portfolio that our cohort member has built. So 1 second. Yeah, I think this is the screen. Yeah. So look at this, like this is the portfolio that they have built, uh, during the cohort, and almost 8 to 9 projects, and yeah, a lot of wins as well. So one product I can show that they've built is like this fitness, okay, this BNPL, right? So in this project, they have also kind of built a end-to-end product. So just imagine, right, as a product manager, if you are sharing just a decks to your, let's say, hiring managers, right? On the other hand, you are sharing your final product as well, right? So just imagine the experience that the hiring manager would have, because they would already get the confidence, okay, this specific candidate is quite well versed into the entire product development process. Now that is something has become relatively very easy only if you know the right processes and right prompts to kind of guide your way, right? And that is something we are kind of helping you. Let's look into what Smita has built on. So okay, this is okay. This was a video prototype. Okay, here I think she has just added a video. I think I'll have to look for a different product to showcase what they built. Okay, 1 second. Yeah, I think this is it here. So they've built probably a Fitbit application. Look into this. This is like fully functional application. So just imagine any hiring managers looking into your this end-to-end product, they could get a complete sense. And this doesn't look like a prototype only. This is like a fully functional. You can probably make it work. You can start your workout, right? So I would probably share this portfolio if anyone wants to look into it. So if anyone is like interested to join our fellowship, I think in collaboration with like eCell, we would be rolling out specific discounts and for limited seats for IIT Guwahati students, and our course starting from 5th of July. But Shlok, I think that was it from my end. I'd be happy to take like any questions if anyone has. Yeah, Ajay, I think you can do like n number of things. How are product management case studies different from UX case studies? It's totally different, Taniksha, because in UX case studies, you're trying to apply for a design roles, right? So I think in design roles, they're trying to understand whether you are able to, understand user journeys really, really well, whether you are able to kind of, from those journeys, create a better user experience or not, right? In the case of product management, what hiring managers trying to gauge you on your entire product thinking, product sense, end-to-end product development process, right? And that is something which kind of differentiate like a design role to a product role to a greater extent. I feel Amazon's AI more cluttered. Yes, it is. I am with you, Arun. Yeah, Amazon's AI is sorry, UI is like I don't know why they're not working on. Probably not their biggest problem right now. They've already had like decent loyal user base. Yeah, but that is something definitely needs rework. It's about priority, right? At an organizational level, whether like, see, there are industry benchmarks in terms of how much traffic you're getting on a regular basis. If you're seeing the growth on traffic, if you're seeing the kind of conversion from traffic to the paid users, right? So that would not become your most of the, I would say, or the majority of the problems. It's all about priority. I'm sure it would be on their backlog, right? But as a product manager, you can't go ahead and start building everything, right? You have to like pick specific problems which are adding value to your business as well and your customers as well. For sure, this UI would add a lot of value to customers, but not probably to Amazon business that well. If that is not, because see, Amazon as a product has been in the market for 10 years, right? And roughly, there has not been major changes, right? So users have already get accustomed to that version of UI. So they already know, okay, what is it that they have to expect on the next screen, right? So the learning curve is not that much. If the learning curve because of bad UI or bad UX, in fact, there's no bad UI, because of bad UX is too much, that is something which leads to drop off. Hope that makes sense, Arun. All right, Shlok, any more questions from anyone?
I have turned on the mics for everybody, so if anybody wants to ask, they can ask.
Okay, Google, what is asking? Tarun is asking why apps like Practo are not getting that much users. That is, so I'm not sure like on what basis you're saying they're not getting users, because every time I have a need to book a doctor, I first go ahead and search on Procto, right? So you also have to understand like, if that industry has like enough scope of growth, right? So there could be like different reasons. I think Practo's UI is decent. Or the other problem definitely could be about awareness as well, right? Or the markets that they are into. So there could be different problems that at a company level that one has to look into. Not getting users could
Uh,
be of problem, could be, yeah, Shlok.
Sorry to interrupt. I had a question. You
Yeah,
mentioned there's like obviously there's no bad UI, but banking for net banking portals have very bad user experience.
yeah.
Um, so my question is, can bad user experience be used in order to create more attraction to their website, or like a marketing tool, something like that?
See, there's a very interesting question, Slog, you asked. See, um, okay, there are a couple of things that I want to share with you all. See, the product of banks is not digital interface, it's money, right? If you have your entire money in SDFC, Axis, or ICICI, right? And if no one is kind of creating or differentiating themselves, or whether the user's decision to go for your product does not depend on user experience, it depends on probably the security or the reach of your bank or the services that you're offering, then it would not matter much, right? But the decade like which we are into, like let's say from last 3 4 years, right, we have seen a lot of companies have come in and tried to change that narrative. You'll see that Jupiter Bank or Jupiter Money, I think, is there, right? You would have seen the onset of Slice, you have seen the onset of like Unicards, right? These companies have got decent traction, superb traction. In fact, their traction was so much that the banks got uncomfortable. And I don't know whether that's a reality or not. I'm just like probably sharing what I have heard or read. Um the entire business model that they were operating on, RBI has put in regulations to that. They were literally winning because the current market that we are into, we really value user experience a lot, right? But when we talk about probably when these probably other offerings are not there, then users doesn't have a choice to go either on different products because everywhere is the same, or whether the user experience really matters in selection of the services or the banks. Make sense, Lo? In case of SDFC Access, I would
Right.
probably choose a bank because probably I would want more security for my money, right? Or I would want more saving rate, right? It's okay if I'm not able to find where the button is, right? That still could be solved because I'm not going to use it on a daily basis. For daily basis, I have Paytm. On Paytm, I have a good experience, right? So it depends on a product to product, industry to industry. What is it that matters for the users?
Right. Got it.
Yeah. Makes sense, right? Okay. Arun
Hmm.
is asking RBI forced new bank. I think the prepaid card ecosystem that they were operating on, right, wherein you can bring in NBFC, right, and position it as a credit card, right, but on the back of it, it was a loan, right? Because if you're taking a loan, it is going to have a hit on your like CIBIL score and all, right? So when you're having that, the RBI was not comfortable with it, right? I don't know whatever were the reasons. Probably to curve that specific kind of experiences, they have like ask these banks to, if you're giving a loan, then clearly state it's loan, right? In fact, there was also a product called Post Pay or from Bharat Pay, right? So at the front it looked like an amazing experience, wow, user card, sorry, yeah, probably credit card. But when I've gone into the this terms and condition, I saw that I already have a signed agreement with an NBFC which I'm not aware about, right? So that is the, these, of course, there were a lot of unfair practices as well, which definitely needed to be covered. Okay, when creating a digital product, at which point is the right time to onboard the users for account sign up? When your product, when your MVP is ready. Because if your product does not have what, anything to offer to your users, why would you onboard them? When you have something to offer, that is the point you would go ahead and onboard them, and you can, from MVP, you would go ahead and find your PMF, wherein you can keep on iterating on the user's feedback, and then, yeah, awesome. Hope that makes sense, Arun. Awesome. All right, cool. Any more questions from anyone? I think Ravi, you have raised hand a couple of times. Do you want to unmute and ask question? Or you can also write in the chat, whichever way you're comfortable. Okay. Sripali is asked, you talked about making interfaces frictionless, but I'm wondering, have you ever intentionally added friction to an experience because it actually helped the user? I think you do that. You have to add friction so that they are aware about, let's say in case of banking, right? So, or investment application that you'd see, right? These journeys are like quite lengthier, right? And a lot of times like users are not comfortable with it, but they're still there. That friction is knowingly there so that users are aware about the entire process and following it meaningfully. So definitely you do put friction as well. But depends, like, if you have a product which is like having a regulatory or compliance boundaries, then definitely you have to be cautious. If it's like as simple as ordering a food, why would you want to have a probably user journey wherein users are experiencing friction, right? So you need to have a strong reason to introduce friction, right? If you don't have it, then it would only result in drop off. If a friction introduction is helping you solve a specific problem, go ahead, first A/B test it before probably making it open for all the users. Awesome. Ravi, I don't know what you're trying to say. Okay, anyone who's probably want to have the conversation further, I'm dropping my number in the chat. You can also WhatsApp me. Happy to have a discussion of the room as well if you have like any questions about a PM fellowship program. Awesome. Shlok, anything else?
Uh, right. So just adding on to the point, it's the offer of the PM fellowship is open to all the people who are in this meeting, right? Because we also have non-IIT Guwahati people also. You might have seen a couple of people from IIT Madras, Roorkee.
Yeah.
Uh, right. So just like that one point. Also, very nice, insightful session, Akhil, Mr. Akhil. So yeah, it was very happy to have you. And then
Thank you,
also,
folks, and thanks for hearing me.
yeah,
Almost till the end, almost 100% attention was there. So good to know. We've seen the drop off in the Q&A time, but I think that's all right. But hope you got some understanding of the users, and there are a lot of applications across industries, across products as well, right? That we talk about in the cohort. There's a lot of AI applications, AI product building that we do, because it's not about this one session. It's about like being in the continuity of learning through the right process and building a product from scratch, right? And just one thing I'm letting you all know, for all the students who are in the room, you would have product companies visiting your colleges. So whenever that is happening, product space, like in product space, we are going to schedule a dedicated session wherein, let's say, Grow is coming or Flipkart is coming, right? So we're going to have a dedicated session wherein we are going to tell you as in how to solve that problem statement that they are going to share. And also all the students would get one-to-one mentorship in terms of how to clear those specific rounds of interviews as well, right? So yeah, all right, I think that's it. Slok, thanks for having me, and thanks everyone for hearing me till the end. All the best. Yeah, thank you. Bye.
thanks. Thanks.